my friends. Thanks for joining me for dinner tonight. I'm going to be making steak au poivre. I don't know if I said that right, but it's French, and I'm sure I've got some French friends out there that could say it for me, and I would love for them to. But anyway, it's going to be delicious, and I'm serving it with risotto and roasted Brussels sprouts. So let's get started. I'm hungry. The first thing I want to do is I'm making this just for myself. So I have a steak here for me, and I have it sitting out to get it room temperature. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this fat so that when I cook it, it doesn't curl up. So just going to make a few gashes in the fat. Okay. After that, I'm going to wash my hands. Okay, then you want to take kosher salt and coat the steak with kosher salt. And on both sides. And I'm working hard not to contaminate this hand so I can use it there. So, let's see, a little more on. Alrighty, then what we want to do is take our steak and lay it on a rack with a pan underneath, and we're going to set it in the refrigerator for 30 minutes to let it air dry uncovered. Alrighty? Alrighty. Okay, so I wanted to keep my cutting board protected. I used wax paper when I had my steak sitting on it, but because it can still leak through that wax paper, I went on and washed off my cutting board. Next, I'm going to prepare my Brussels sprouts. I have just enough for me, actually a little more than me, and they've been washed. And so what we want to do is to cut their ends off and remove the outer peelings. I'm going to be putting my Brussels sprouts on a baking dish, and I have it covered with parchment paper to keep my pan from getting messy. We're going to cut those Brussels sprouts in half and lay them face down. And so we're going to do this with all of these Brussels sprouts. It's only going to take about 15 minutes to cook our Brussels sprouts. So I'm just getting them ready, but we won't start cooking them yet. Our next step is to spray the Brussels sprouts with oil. I use olive oil.
Yes, the next step in preparing Brussels sprouts is to coat them with olive oil. This helps the sprouts to
Alexa's talking to me. Alexa, stop. Okay, and then I use pepper and a tad bit of salt. Now let's set these aside until we get ready to roast them. Now what we want to do is prepare our peppercorns. Our steak is going to be covered with crushed peppercorns. So take about a tablespoon of whole peppercorns, and if you've got a, whatever this is, can't think of it. Well, anyway, if you've got one, you mash them until they're crushed. You don't want the ground pepper, that's too fine. You want to keep these peppercorns of a decent size. You want to make enough to cover both sides of your steak. And what I found, it works best to put a few in at first and then add to that. By the way, I told you I was making risotto. It's orzo. Little difference there. Orzo looks like little pieces of spaghetti. Risotto looks like rice. They both are delicious though. Okay, that should do it. And let's set that aside. Now I also have minced shallot that I'll save for later. I've got 2 sprigs of thyme, fresh thyme. I've got 2 cloves of garlic, 1 would do. And I would like to smash these. I'm gonna leave them whole, but I want them smashed. release their flavors. And, oh, I have, actually this is a little more than 1.5 ounces of brandy or sherry or cognac. Brandy is the preferred, but any one of those will work. And a tablespoon of butter. Or is that 2 tablespoons? No, that's 1 tablespoon. And Dijon mustard. We also will be using half and half and creme fraiche. Creme fraiche. I don't know how to say that either. Oh, and don't let me forget, we're using beef broth. And I always use better than bouillon beef broth. So that'll be about 1/4 cup. Okay, I'm gonna go on and get my risotto cooked. I keep saying it, my orzo cooked. Here's my orzo. So it only takes about 7 minutes, and I'll just keep it warm, and I'll be putting the sauce from our steak onto it, and that'll warm it back up. So I'll start by boiling my water. I've added salt to it, and once it comes to a boil, I'll add the orzo. I keep saying risotto. I'll add that to the water. Okay, now 30 minutes has passed. We've had that salt on our steak. We're letting it air dry in the refrigerator. That salt pulls some of those moistures out, but it keeps it very tender. Next, what we want to do is put our peppercorns on it. So I'm going to again use my cutting board with wax paper, and going to put my ground peppercorns on it. Okay, let's take our steak and just run it through these peppercorns. And we're going to do that on both sides. Okay, I've got my skillet warming up, and I'm going to add about 1 tablespoon of oil. And we're going to let that heat up to about 350 degrees. I have my little handy dandy measuring doodad where I point at it. It's a laser beam, tells me how hot it is. And my water is boiling here, so I'm going to add my orzo, not risotto, orzo. Oh, it's too hot. Let's turn it down some. Okay. Let's put our steak in. And we want to cook it for about 3 minutes on each side. And what we're doing is forming a crust with that peppercorn. And we want to be careful when we turn our steak. So I suggest you use tongs to turn your steak. Okay, it has been 3 minutes, so let's carefully turn our steak. Carefully. Okay, I'm having trouble getting hold of it. Here we go. Nice. Okay, now what we want to do is add our butter, our garlic and thyme. And I'm going to start checking temperature on this. We want it to 125. Mine is not that thick today, so it won't take long to get there. But it's not reached that temperature. Okay, my risotto is finished, so I'm going to turn it off and drain it. And ouch. And I will save some of this water since I need it for my sauce. And then I'm just going to set my orzo aside with the lid on. And this has been about 3 minutes, so let me double check the internal temperature. We're not there yet, so what I'm going to do is check the side here. Yeah, that's plenty browned on that side. And I'm going to go on and put my steak onto this plate. And then I'm going to tint it. And put it in the oven to stay warm and finish cooking. I'll lower the heat on my skillet and remove my garlic and thyme. Now let's take our brandy, sherry, cognac, whichever you're using, and scrape the bottom. I should have put my shallots in first. That's minced shallots. I'm going to add a little bit of that oil back. Guess we all make mistakes. It's not a big one. We'll recover. And we're going to let that alcohol burn out, boil out. Scraping up all those good bits. And now let's put in some of our beef broth. I need to start my Brussels sprouts. Okay, next, let's add some creme fraiche. I actually have whipped cream cheese. I could not find the creme fraiche, but what I'm doing, heavy cream works best. I'm going to mix this with half and half. Whisk out here. I'm gonna add some of my Dijon mustard. Well, I have a spoon over here. Let me go get another one. And you want just about a half a teaspoon for one person. 1 teaspoon if you've got a couple of steaks. Coming together nicely. I'm going to turn this down. Just enough to stay warm. Let it thicken a little. I want to taste that. Let's see. Oh, that's good. Woo. That is very good. You do not need to add salt. I often think if I'm doing that air cooling with salt, I'm maybe putting too much on. That is definitely salty. Okay, I'm gonna go check on my other items, the steaks, the internal temperature, check my Brussels sprouts, and my Orzo. See you later. Wow, look at this steak. It's delicious. I don't even have a steak knife out, but let's taste it. It's cut so tenderly. This is awesome. You've got to try this one. Yes. Little of the Orzo, not risotto. Perfect with it. And of course my roasted Brussels sprouts. And then a robust glass of red wine. If you've enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and let me know you like it. And subscribe if you haven't already. And keep watching my videos. I'll keep making them as long as you keep watching them. I hope you've enjoyed this. Bye now.